Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Today I'm gonna be cooking my kinda healthy salmon. Also, while I'm recording this, I'm gonna be live too, so I'm gonna be answering some questions and taking everyone step by step through the whole process. Today we're going to be making kinda healthy salmon. It's my salmon recipe. I probably make it once a week, so it's the one thing I can do with my eyes closed. However, today I'm gonna slow down my recipe for you guys and for everybody that's making it at home with me. I'll try to go a little slow for you guys. So first things first, we are going to preheat our ovens to 350. Go ahead and do that, you guys. As far as salmon goes, I don't care what kind of salmon you use. I personally have graduated to wild caught fresh salmon. You can use frozen, you can use farm raised, you can use whatever you want. It doesn't matter, whatever your preference is, you know? I personally like to get my salmon the day of, minutes before I cook it. I like to, you know, grocery shop at 5 o'clock and have my salmon by 6 o'clock. And today we're making wild caught salmon and kale and rice. And by the way, I'm only using 4 seasonings today, and if you don't have any of these seasonings or you have one and not the other, it's totally okay. Use whatever the hell you want. I promise it'll be okay. As long as you have butter, we're good. So these are my 2 pieces of salmon that I'm gonna be making today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by seasoning these, and I'm going to season both sides, and I'm only gonna use lemon pepper, and that's gonna be from Lawry's. Some people say Lawry's. I say it Lowry's, like Mike Lowry is how I pronounce it. Yes, you know, however, whatever. I'm gonna season, like I said, both sides. And before I do that, I'm gonna get my little frying pan ready. You're gonna need a frying pan and like a baking dish. So these are the 2 that I have. I'm going to put this frying pan on. But yeah, you take like a tablespoon of butter. We're gonna be using a lot of butter today. That's why we emphasize that it's kinda healthy, because we are going to use a lot of butter. And yeah, you guys will always see me. I use Aisha Curry's cookware. It's the bomb. I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to season my salmon a while, and I'm just gonna sprinkle the lemon pepper on it. I'm gonna flip them over here with the tongs, because I don't really want to touch them that much today. Season the skin side. You guys can keep the skin or lose the skin. I personally love the skin. Oh, also, sorry, before we even get to cooking, my #1 rule for cooking any type of fish is please cut it before you cook it. My pet peeve is people cooking one big ass piece of salmon for multiple reasons. When it's cooked, when you try to cut it, it's all flaky and you can never cut a perfect piece. So cut it before you cook it, section it out, you know, whatever. Just don't cook one giant piece of salmon or any type of fish. It's just, that's not it. Flame is on like low, in between low and medium. So not too high. You want the butter to start like moving around in there, and you want to use a lot of butter because, you know, we're gonna be flipping them in here. And this is just for a second. This is just to get the outside really crispy, because after we're gonna put them in the oven. So, and yes, my butter is salted. Yours doesn't have to be. It just gives it an extra little, you know? So yeah. If you wanna put more seasoning on your fish, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to season this just before we put it in the frying pan, and then I'm gonna give it a little baby sprinkle one more time. You guys can see, one more time before we put it in the oven. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay my first piece down, skin side down. See, my grease could be my butter could be a little hotter. So I'm gonna turn my flame up just a little bit, because I want it to, when you put it in. Yeah, see, that's the noise I wanted. That was the noise we were looking for, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm gonna put my other one in. So while they're doing that, really super easy rice. I'm gonna use this little dish for rice. This is just gonna be my measuring cup. You can actually measure, or you cannot, whatever you want. I do the rice first. Okay, this is popping and getting crazy. I'm gonna turn down the flame. It's that butter. And I'm gonna just check these. see what they're doing. Skin side could be a little crispier. I'm gonna make this much rice. So the only rule I have is when you do one of those, you do 2 waters. So 1 and 2. You could turn your rice on and get it started a while. Let's just see what's popping with our salmon. Skin side could still be a little crispier in my little crispier. So we leave that. All right, back to the rice. Turn your flame up to like lowish. I use Sazon to make my rice orange. A few packets will give it some flavor, but it'll make it too orange. 1 packet is just fine. It's gonna make it orangey and give it just like a little tiny flavor. It's just if you just want a little change from plain old white rice. I make rice a lot in my house, so you can use this. If you don't have this, totally okay. You can just do plain white rice, and how it is fine. You can just boil it, and then eventually we're gonna put the lid on it and be done. All right, 1 packet in there. I'm gonna take my little spoon, and I'm gonna mix it up. So you guys can see it's orangey colored. Mix it up in there, and I'm gonna put my lid on it. All right, I'm gonna flip them. And you wanna flip these like kind of carefully. See, they look good. The skin side looks really good now. You don't wanna burn these up because this is, the side that's down now is the most important side because it's your side that's gonna show. So if you mess this part up, the whole plate's gonna look ugly. Again, I'm just trying to check on my salmon, make sure it's good. For our kale, I already washed it. I'm gonna just cut off these ends and lose them. We don't need those. And I'm going to just cut pretty small, about 1.5 inch sections, and you can just add them to another saucepan, whatever you wanna call this. I call it a pot. Kale is tricky. You know, for a long time it got a bad rep because, you know, people didn't like it. It's one of those super healthy vegetables. But it's good. All right, let's check our salmon, see what's going on here before we go messing with the kale and get distracted. Okay, that's popping. Pretty good, just how we want it. For these, I'm gonna add them to my baking dish. I wanna add a little bit of this butter, just like a little splash. Coat it on the bottom, this baking dish. All right, I'm gonna take my salmon, and again, be careful with them because they're fragile now because they're almost cooked. And, oh yeah, that's bomb. All right, here's the step you guys pay attention to. This extra butter that you have in here, I want you to just throw it on top. Throw it on top of both of those. All right, 1 more light coat of the Lawry's lemon pepper, okay? This can go in the oven for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in because our oven was already hot at 350. Kale, you wanna pour water to just about cover it. Kale, you can get away with rushing it a little bit. Now we just chill for a little bit. You can clean up in this time. Cleaning up during this time is always a good thing. Now the rice, I'm gonna turn my rice down because every time I make rice, for whatever reason, it always bubbles over. For people that are asking, do my kids eat salmon? Yes, they do. My baby loves it, and so does my teenager. They both love it. We all love it in my house. It's really good. As far as our kale goes, we're going to be using Lawry's garlic salt once we start to season that, but it's a while still because, yeah, it's got to get hot. It's got to get there. If you are trying to diet and trying to watch your weight, you want to go crazy with the kale, you want to go crazy with the salmon, that's okay, and just a little bit with the rice. When I'm really trying to watch it, I will literally like tablespoon out rice for myself. I will take like 3 tablespoons of it, and that's my portion of rice. And that's what I'll do. Our kale is starting to do things, which is good. Yeah, it's looking real green and really healthy. But yeah, I'm glad you guys support me in my cooking stuff. It's something that I really, really love doing. You know, if you're passionate about something, there's nothing that can stop you. Somebody says, where can I get these pants? These pants are actually from my Super Down collection. Superdown.com, you can get them, they're brand new, they just came out yesterday. This meal can be made even less expensive. I just use the really fancy salmon. The rice is really cheap, all the seasonings are very cheap, and the kale is cheap. The kale was like $2.99. If your salmon has like white stuff coming out of the side of it, that's cool. I looked it up, I forgot what the name is called. That's all right, it's supposedly healthy, allegedly, whatever. It happens to salmon. It like oozes white stuff. When you do it with my method and you pan fry it first, it's much less of the white stuff than when you cook it just straight in the oven. When you cook it straight in the oven, it's so much white stuff. This is the reason why I started making my salmon like this in the first place, because I didn't like that. I didn't like that white stuff. I'm gonna check on our kale. All right, our kale is starting to get, it's really, really nice and bright green. Let me show you guys the kale. So you see, it's steaming, it's cooking lovely. We want it to be like soft, but not too soft to where it's like, ugh. You always wanna keep kale with a little bit of a crunch. Our rice, I think it looks pretty done. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna get a fork. As far as our rice, yeah, my rice is, like I said, super orange, but it came out perfect. You wanna fluff it one time. That's just to get all the additional wetness off of it. Fluff it, and I just put the lid back on. Now, there's only one way to check if the kale is done, and that's by tasting it. So, oh yeah, and our salmon, I feel like, let me take that out. All right, we good to go with our salmon. Cancel, all right. Yeah, I would say it looks pretty great. Don't cut it, don't open it, don't do anything until you're ready to eat it, because you want to keep all of its amazing juices on the inside. So our kale is nice and green, should be a nice richer green than when you started. Put it back on the same flame. I'm gonna cut a nice chunk of butter, probably about 2 tablespoons of it, a nice big old chunk of it. Put it in the kale, add some of my Lowry's garlic salt with parsley. This is big chunks, so don't be going crazy with it, because you can over season it quick. Simple black pepper. Oh, I want my kale like on kind of high, because I want to like fry it up in there with the seasoning and the butter. This is a lot of butter. I know I cook with a lot of butter, but that's just how I grew up, and it just tastes good. So far we use like 3 tablespoons of butter, which is enough to give a normal sized person a heart attack. But your food's gonna taste banging. So you just wanna kinda, let it fry itself in the butter, let the butter melt, let the seasonings all blend together, and let it get crispy, and keep the flame up sort of high so that it is still cooking with the butter. Yeah, and if this is your first time trying kale, I really hope it comes out perfect for you, because I don't want you to have a bad experience, because kale is dope. All right, I'm gonna just move this kale around one more time, because it was popping and buttery and fried up. And yeah, oh, also, my hot sauce lovers out there, don't be afraid to add a little bit of hot sauce to your kale too. You can almost prepare your kale the same way that you prepare greens. I'm gonna turn off everything, turn off my kale, make sure everything's off, my oven is off, everything's off. All right, I'm gonna show you guys how I personally plate it. All right, I'm gonna do the rice first. I like to get a little dish. I'm gonna use the same dish we measured the rice with. And I like to put it in a dish, and I do this first because it doesn't always come out right, but if you put it in a little dish and sort of shape it, you don't gotta fill the dish all the way up, but you can sort of shape it, and it will give you your little like dome-shaped rice, and then you get that cute little picture-perfect rice. So I put the plate first, rice second. Bam! You learned something. Shout out to you if you learned something. I just learned this too, because guess what? Enough getting made fun of for your presentation will make you learn, okay, what do I gotta do? I was figuring out, like trying to figure out if people were like, were y'all like spraying water on your food before you took a picture of it to make it not look dry, or like what are the tricks? But you know, it really is about presentation. So I'm gonna take this piece of salmon, which came out perfect, place it there, okay? Okay, we're getting somewhere. I'm gonna just scoop some of our kale, let it drip, because you don't want your plate to be all soggy, especially not on this one. And voila. You have a sort of healthy salmon dinner, okay? This salmon is perfect, rice perfect, kale perfect, okay? So yeah, you know, you go and you serve this to your man and you be like, here, boo, I did this for you. Or you serve it to your kids, or you serve it to your best friends, or you serve it to yourself. Again, I hope your kale experience tonight is really, really good, because like I said, it's dope. If you get to get into it, it's the bomb. Get you, you know, something to drink with this. A nice ice water is what I would have. Y'all can have a nice glass of wine. White wine pairs really well with salmon. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys really enjoyed and learned a lot about my kind of healthy salmon. Don't forget to subscribe.